When Sasori was young, his father and mother were killed by Tsukumo Hitaki in battle, leaving him in the care of his grandmother, Chiyo. When Chiyo attempted to cheer him up by teaching him puppetry, Sasori's innate aptitude for the art became apparent, and he even began to devise masterful ways of eliminating a puppet master's weaknesses in battle. His skills even allowed him to create 2 puppets in the image of his parents, in an attempt to discard the terrible loneliness he felt. However, as the puppets were unable to give him the real parental love that he desired, Sasori lost interest in them, and they later fell into Chiyo's possession. Sasori created many other ingenious puppets, including Karori, Karasu, and Sanshmuo. During the Third Shinobi World War, the effectiveness of his puppets in spilling his enemy's blood on the sand gave rise to Sasori's moniker, Sasori of the Red Sand. However, motivated by his desire to make works that last forever, Sasori began experimenting to create puppets out of people. In the anime, his only friend, Kamushi, lost his right arm during his border control duty, so Sasori gave him a new puppet arm as a prosthetic limb. After Kamushi perished, having accidentally ingested some of Sasori's poison, Sasori proceeded to turn him into one of his first human puppets. 20 years before his introduction in the series, Sasori left Sunagakure. It was around this time he converted his body into a puppet, with his core of living flesh remaining as his only human part, thus appearing to maintain the youth of the time of his departure. Over 10 years before his own death, Sasori secretly assassinated the Third Kazekage and made him into one of his human puppets. Despite this, Sasori noted the Third Kazekage did not die without giving Sasori a struggle. Sometime after becoming a missing nin, Sasori was confronted by Konan and recruited into Akatsuki. Initially declining, Konan opted to fight him, proposing if he lost he would join. Sasori complied, and despite using his puppet body, he ultimately lost and joined the organization, being partnered up with Orochimaru. After joining the Akatsuki, he utilized his skills to create numerous spies like Ikra and Mukade from Suna as sleeper agents. Sasori was paired with Orochimaru, who shared his desire of an everlasting existence. Later, Sasori joined his group in recruiting Deidara into Akatsuki. After Orochimaru left the Akatsuki following his failed attempt to take Itachi Uchiha's body, Sasori bore a grudge towards his former partner and sent Kabuto Yakushi to be his spy in Itagakure. Nevertheless, Sasori was unaware that Kabuto was working for Orochimaru long before he posed as an Akatsuki spy, as he and the rest of the Akatsuki thought that Kabuto joined Orochimaru's side after being dispelled of Sasori's brainwashing. In the anime, Sasori later learned of Orochimaru's whereabouts and joined Deidara to find him. Once tracking him down in the Land of Wind, Sasori unleashed his Third Kazekage puppet. Orochimaru, however, surprised Sasori by countering with a reincarnation of the actual Kazekage. The 2 missing nin then pitted their respective pawns against each other, and eventually the Third Kazekage proved stronger than the puppet. However, the Kazekage soon regained control of himself and forced a release of the technique, prompting Orochimaru to retreat. Deidara then unleashed a series of bombs on Orochimaru's hideout, hoping to kill the Konoha nin. Sasori was left very annoyed that despite a thorough search, they could not find a body. Sasori was a very powerful shinobi, being able to, with effort, defeat and kill the Third Kazekage, the strongest ninja in Suna's history. His use of his puppets was greatly feared throughout the Third Shinobi World War, as he turned the sand red with blood, giving him the nickname, Sasori of the Red Sand. His legacy was such that Kankurum knew of and feared him despite being born after Sasori already left the village. Deidara himself even admitted that Sasori was the stronger of the 2 of them. Trained by his powerful grandmother, Chiyo, in the art of puppetry, Sasori was an extremely powerful puppeteer and had great skill in creating and controlling his puppets. He created a number of ingenious ones, including the 3 main puppets that Kankurum uses, which were made in Sunagakure before he fled. At the time of his final battle with Sakura and Chiyo, Sasori had 298 human puppets in his collection. His status as a puppet master offered him a tremendous advantage against other puppeteer shinobi, especially if the puppets they were using happened to be ones that he created, as seen in his battle against Kankurum. As puppets are usually installed with long-range weapons, Sasori was an expert at fighting at long distances. He had tremendous skill with chakra threads, suppressing them to the point that they became invisible, and he could control upwards to 100 puppets, a feat thought impossible for ordinary shinobi. Sasori can also control living people as puppets, even against their will, if they are weakened enough. His usage of puppets was at such a high level that he made mere techniques appear as an artistic performance, what he called his Red Secret technique. Haruko was Sasori's 11th puppet and used as both a weapon and an armor, as well as a means to eliminate the puppeteer's weakness of being a separate and exposed target. As Haruko was one of his favorite puppets, Sasori adorned it in Akatsuki attire for nearly the entirety of his tenure in the organization. Because of this, only certain members like Orochimaru, Deidara, or relatives like Chiyo knew Sasori's true face, while others like Zetsu and Kabuto had no idea that Haruko was not his actual body. While within Haruko, Sasori speaks through his puppet in a deeper and hoarser voice. Haruko had a long mechanical, scorpion-like tail, an allusion to Sasori's name meaning scorpion, extending from the mouth of what appeared to be a demon mask on its back. Chiyo said this mask was a recent addition by Sasori to act as an extra defense to a weak point in the puppet. The tail worked as Haruko's main offensive weapon and was laced with Sasori's specialty poison. The tail could also be used defensively by spinning around Haruko's body at a rapid speed. Haruko's left arm was also rigged with a projectile launcher capable of firing poison shrapnel and needles, and its mouth could also be used to serve a similar function of firing poisoned needles. In the anime, Sasori was also capable of performing the sand clone technique through Haruko. Haruko is said to have been a human puppet in the anime from a once famous Sunagakure shinobi that Sasori converted upon death. In the manga it was just a regular puppet. Sasori's puppets were unique in that they were made from the still living bodies of humans. These human puppets were more versatile than regular puppets since, in addition to having many dangerous devices installed within them, as is common with regular puppets, they were also able to use chakra and perform any techniques or Kekkei Genkai abilities that they possessed during their life. Being the developer of this form of puppets, Sasori is also the only one who knows how to create them. Sasori's favorite human puppet was the Third Kazekage, which retained its magnet release, which in turn grants Sasori access to the iron sand techniques. When mixed with Sasori's poison, the iron sand was given a more lethal edge. The iron sand could also be used to fill up the joints of other puppets, thus immobilizing them. Due to the iron sand being derived from the Third's ability to convert chakra to magnetism, this grants Sasori immunity from metallic weapons. The Third's puppet's right arm held several poisoned blades, while the left arm could open up to reveal several summoning seals that summoned thousands of similar arms to attack the target. These arms were capable of crushing an opponent, emitting poisonous gas clouds, and releasing wires that dragged the opponent into the gas cloud. If these arms were cut off, a small buzz saw took their place. Because Sasori's core was the only living part of his body that he still contained, his puppet body was virtually indestructible, allowing him to survive the poison mist Kankurum bombarded him with, as well as the impact from Sakura's punches. He was also able to fight for extended periods of time without hindrances that would normally affect a human's body, such as fatigue, muscle failure, loss of blood, wounds, or pain. His conversion has allowed him to forego the need for food. When smashed apart, he could simply draw the pieces back together. Additionally, Sasori could transfer his core to other puppets in a split second, allowing him to abandon a body that was damaged beyond repair or incapacitated. It is suggested in the manga that Sasori created more than one puppet body in his image. The core was his only weakness, and its destruction would mean his death. After Sasori's death, Kankurum would later take the body and use it as his puppet.